Good morning. My name's Stan Cromlish. I host a podcast called The Wandering Gypsy RV Life, and I have written 3 RV books. But this seminar is about staying connected on the road. How many of you have internet in your coaches right now? Let's see a show of hands. How many of you want to learn more about the different types of internet connections on the road? Obviously, yes, definitely. So this seminar is for you. Why internet matters for RVers. Internet isn't just entertainment. It's a way we stay connected with the rest of the world. And in my case, it's the way I work from the road. You know, watching movies, streaming TV, that's what a lot of people think about. But internet provides you email and all sorts of different, could be life-saving functions. Okay, how many of you have connected to campground Wi-Fi? And what would you rate campground Wi-Fi? Big zero. Yes, a big zero. And you want to know why campground Wi-Fi gets rated a 0 most times? Because you're sharing it with hundreds of different users in the RV park. So when I first got started, I thought campground Wi-Fi was the way to go. Boy, was I wrong. I was in the middle of a work conference call on campground Wi-Fi, and I got the spinning wheel of death. But modern RVers have a toolbox, and that is satellite internet, cellular internet, and signal boosters and antennas. How many of you have Starlink? How many of you have cellular internet? How many of you have nothing? Okay, so go ahead. Starlink satellite is, I have Starlink on my coach, and I use it primarily for streaming, surfing the web, and doing work that does not require a lot of upload speed. Okay, but when I'm uploading my podcast, I do not use the Starlink for that, even though it provides unlimited data. The upload speeds are just too slow. Cellular internet. How many are using the FRVA's Tech Connect? Does it work well for you, sir?
My backyard, no. The AT&T service there is terrible, but everywhere else it seems all right.
Okay. So there's several varieties of cellular internet. There is the Tech Connect from FRVA that uses T-Mobile. You can also go to AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile and get one of their hotspots. Or you can run a hybrid solution like I do, which is, as you can see, that's in my cabinet in my RV. And that is a PepWave G router. And in that router, there are 2 SIM cards, Verizon and T-Mobile. So, and that is what I primarily do all of my conference calls on, uploading large video files. And the plan I've got is 300 gigabytes T-Mobile, because bandwidth matters in cellular internet. Anyone ever run over on their cellular data plans? And you know it slows down to a crawl. So when you're using cellular internet, it's great in metropolitan and some suburban areas. But Starlink excels when you're out west in Wyoming, Montana, Utah, Colorado, except when you park under trees. My Starlink internet is the Starlink high performance dish. which is the top of the line, priciest model that Starlink makes. And at $2,500 and then installation, I think I spent about $4,000 getting always on Starlink internet. But I wouldn't go back to having to raise the flagpole. How many of you raised the flagpole to get Starlink? Understood. So to choose the right option for yourself, how many of you are still working? How many of you need connectivity for things you're doing, talking to the grandkids, FaceTiming, etc.? Okay, so if you do full-time or remote work like I do, I have a combination of Starlink and cellular. If you're a seasonal traveler, a good, solid cellular plan may be all you need. Budget, if you know, we all have budgets, right? Or do we? So for budget, start with one method. If it works for you, great. It took me, I've been full-time RVing for 6 years now, and it took me a good 3 years to figure out internet. I'm a software developer. I'm a tech person. And when I had my job with a large telecommunications company, I needed to know I was connected to work. So when I finally got Starlink and combined it with cellular, I've got internet no matter where I go. My cellular stays on all the time. So when I get into a remote area out west, and I travel out west quite a bit, I'm comfortable knowing I'm connected. There are also cellular boosters, and you can see in front of my AC, I've got the WeBoost cellular antenna. I added that at an FRVA Rally a couple of years ago. And for me, the jury's still out on cell boosters. In some places, they work great, especially when I'm out west. In other places, it boosts the signal too strong and you start losing quality audio on your cell phones. Budget and equipment, we're going to do some, we all have a budget. I do, definitely. The Starlink for the Mini is now $299, $399. The standard is $599. And I believe the high performance is still $2,500. And I think they just went up on their price from when I did this, I did it about a year ago, and it was $150 a month. Now I believe it's $165 a month for unlimited. I'll have to update my slides. So cellular internet for the PepWave router that I've got, it was about $1,000. And then it's $100 to $150 a month for a 300 gig plan. And if you're like me and you wanted 300 Verizon, 300 T-Mobile, it's about $170 a month. So if you add that up, I'm doing about $350 a month in internet costs. But I really like staying connected. Internet is an investment in your flexibility, safety, and freedom on the road. And yes, ma'am.
I don't understand what a PepWave is.
PepWave, PEPWAVE. It's a cellular router that is by a company called PepWave. So that is a PepWave router manufactured by a company that is heavily invested in over-the-road trucking. And that router has been absolutely bulletproof. So, pro tips for staying connected. Park with an open sky for Starlink. Use router tools to monitor your signal. Limit background devices. In my rig, everything's connected, from my thermostats to my water leak sensors to temperature sensors in my refrigerator freezer, and I have a separate freezer underneath in a bay. I have a 2016 Tiffin Allegro open road gas. So consistently update the firmware on Starlink and your cellular router. Why? Safety and security. Because black hat people are trying to steal your data. I'm sure every one of you have seen those phishing emails. Now they're getting so sophisticated, they're starting to text you. Unreal. And how many of you have an inverter? Okay, hold on a minute. Show of hands. How many are in a Class A motorhome? How many are in a Class C motorhome? Class B. Okay, fifth wheel, travel trailer. Okay. So we're running the gambit in here. So how many of you have an inverter in your rig? Okay. And so what happens when you've unplugged from shore power? Your inverter takes over to run your residential refrigerator and the inverted outlets. So make sure your batteries stay charged. All right. So this is a real world example from my 2025 tour of Wyoming. Cellular stepped in during storms in Alabama. The dual setup maintained over 99% uptime on 10,000 miles of travel in 2025. And you can see that's a Starlink speed test. And I was consistently getting 275 megabits per second. You probably don't understand what that is. Okay? That means I could stream the Cowboy Channel and watch the Cheyenne Frontier Days and still be able to upload my podcast and not run into that spinning wheel of death. How many of you on your TV have seen that buffering spinning wheel of death? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you have the Starlink high performance, right?
Right.
So if you had the mini, what would you be getting?
Probably 150, 200. It's still good. The high performance has a larger surface area to pick up the satellites. The mini, which is kind of small, has a smaller surface area.
I ran a speed test yesterday on my Mini, and I was running 275.
Great. Okay. He said he has the Starlink Mini and he ran a speed test yesterday and he saw the 275 megabits per second. So that's awesome. All right. So to wrap this up, reliable internet lets you adventure more and worry less, whether working, streaming, or sharing your journey. If you have the right mix of tools, and that, not just internet, but I'm sure, how many of you are full-timers? Okay. So most of you are part-timers, weekenders, short trips. Okay. Internet keeps you connected to the world. All right. So let me open it up for questions. I wanted to leave us enough time for questions, and I think I did. Yes, sir.
What's your thoughts on these home internet boxes from T-Mobile and Verizon?
My thoughts on those home internet, if they allow you to roam with them, they're awesome. Yes, ma'am.
I have a T-Mobile modem.
Okay, and do they let you roam?
Well, theoretically, no.
Okay.
But I do it, and nothing is happening, and I'm not the only one because, and I haven't had a problem. My issue is with Canada.
Okay.
We have a T-Mobile home, and we've been up and down the East Coast as far west as Kentucky, and not had any issues with it.
Yeah, I've done out west.
And I work, so I'm doing a lot of WebExers and upload down the speeds.
So I was looking on T-Mobile's website this week, and now they give you the home internet router, and there's a roam plan. So I think what they're going to be probably doing in the next 2 to 3 years is cracking down on all of us RVers going up and down the road using T-Mobile home internet. So any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Rooftop installation instead of
Ma'am.
why did you choose to get a rooftop installation for Starlink
instead of one that you could move around if you weren't limited by trees.
If you really want to know the truth, I was sick and tired of putting that dang flagpole up.
Because I work while he drives, so I work with whatever internet we have while he's driving. So that's a big perk if you're.
Yes, sir.
Just curious. We have Starlink and we have the cell.
Okay.
The Weak Boost, we have that as well. With the inside antenna is so limited, I'm wondering if you have any experience with that.
So yeah, so where I put my interior antenna is there are two in my Tiffin. There's a cabinet on the right, a cabinet on the left, and a useless 42-inch TV in the middle. I put my cellular booster, the little short antenna, in the left-hand cabinet above the driver's seat, because for me, basically, I'm using that WeBoost for not only my cell phone, but for my cellular internet, which is in the cabinet on the other. So basically, they're within 5 to 7 feet of each other. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I actually think, hold that thought. I got a picture of it. Give me 1 second. Let's see. I know I put my cabinet back together. I just got to go find where I put it. Let's see if this one gets it. Nope, that's the cabinet door closed. Well, I guess I did not take a picture of putting my cabinet back together. Oh, well. All right. So I chose to put it above my driver's seat because it close enough for where I'm sitting, where my phone goes, and all of that. Okay. Yes, sir.
So as it relates to Tech Connect, and I'm not sure how far you could go into the Tech Connect piece, having T-Mobile service, is it just an addition to that? Does it bring the internet piece into T-Mobile? And
What, the WeBoost?
No, the Tech Connect.
The Tech Connect is just internet, as far as I know.
Okay. So you bring your T-Mobile piece into it?
Well, so Tech Connect over in the FRVA store, they will give you a hotspot that you plug in your RV, and it has T-Mobile cellular internet in that device. Okay, yes, sir.
Related to Starlink, are there only two choices of sizes? And also, is it you pay every month or you can go on a off-season plan?
Yes, you can cut it off on demand as you're not traveling. There are 3 sizes of Starlink dishes. There's the mini, and then there is the standard, and finally there's the Starlink high performance. Each one is a different size footprint. So the mini can connect to fewer satellites than the high performance can. And the mini can connect to fewer satellites that the standard can at a time. Basically, what they're doing with the mini is Starlink needs a clear view of the sky. The good thing about the high performance, I was in Texas or Oklahoma, okay, and I ended up in a campsite under trees. While I didn't get 275 megabits per second, I got 50 megabits per second, which was still plenty enough to do what I needed to do. Who else had a question? Yes, sir. That's campground Wi-Fi. And what is the consensus in the room about campground Wi-Fi? Okay. So in some campgrounds, they've upgraded their infrastructure. So it might give you better campground Wi-Fi. But in most of the RV parks and campgrounds we go to, they were built back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So I stay primarily in a campground in Raymer, Alabama, and I've watched them have to put in lines for internet, power, water, and it's a huge cost undertaking for these parks to do that. Anyone else have? Yes, sir.
I'm gonna have 2 comments. I have a mini that I installed in January. I do like the convenience of just being able to park and throw it out.
Right.
Sometimes I just leave it in the dash if I'm pointing the right way. So there's some plus, some minus, right? At least I'm not jacking post. product that they can see. It's Connect Plus. I've been a customer with them long enough to see the transition go 3 times now between AT&T and Google. So you always see, I never always take to replace some units. Now, the last at AT&T earlier, you said T-Mobile. That's called, I still am the AT&T.
I think now it's T-Mobile, right? Okay.
You get the AT&T in the one. But my price is $62 a change in my includes tax if they force on me out. And it's okay. I wish my hotspot didn't, for reasons I've never understood, shut down.
So I've got a theory for you. If it's in a cabinet, okay, so my heat theory is probably out the window.
But anyway, with the 2 solutions, I've been able, at least in the last few months, to mostly manage and keep my wife back in the stream, so it lets me do what I need to do when I do it.
Good. All right. Yes, sir.
You also have an open road, a leg road, and do you have that guard thing in the right hand cabinet?
I had the Traveler. Yes, it's in it. So, okay. So, well, it has nothing to do with Wi-Fi. It is for your satellite TV. If you've probably got a satellite dish on your roof, it handles all of that satellite. It handles satellite television, and it will raise and lower your satellite dish if you've got a Traveler like mine, which is the big old honking dish on the roof. Okay. But what it does with the dome is aligns it with the satellites. So any more questions? Yes, sir.
What's the purpose of having a rooftop booster and a booster in your cabinet?
Because the WeBoost requires a antenna to go to the WeBoost device, and it goes out to.
So your rooftop is actually feeding it.
It's feeding it, and then the interior antenna connects to your phones, your cellular router, and all of that. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Standard reason if you're trying to use park Wi-Fi, if you get closer to where their antenna is,
You'll get lucky. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I want to make a comment because somebody asked about PetWave. There are numerous 5G multi-cellular routers. We have Travel 5. We have almost exactly the same setup you have. We have Starlink, the multi-traveler. We have WeBoost. I work for a tech company, so I wanted all that. And Travel 5 has a few glitches, but it has 3 cellular supposedly built in. Verizon doesn't ever seem to really work for us, but we've been pretty happy with.
I've heard Travelify is really good. And for disclosure, I use Techno RV's Internet on the Go plan. That's what I use for my cellular internet. And so, any more questions before we close this out? Yes, ma'am.
I could ask a thousand questions. So I'm not a techie person. I just use it. I don't know how to set it up. I don't know how to install it. I don't know what I need. I don't know what connects to what. I just use it. It's my job. We have our own company. I hire a tech company to take care of all that at my home office. So I don't have to learn this. I'm learning my business and I'm learning to.
That's perfect.
I don't want to do all that you know and that she does and all. So how do I get my bus, which is a 24 Tiffin Breeze? Smart.
Okay. Yep.
We still work. We
Okay.
like to ramp it down. I cannot in my head justify hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month for RV when we travel when we can. But when we can, we go in the rural areas. We want to be in the woods under the trees. The last thing I want to do is park in a parking lot like I am right now when I'm on vacation. To be in the parks, in the woods. I want to see the bears go by.
Starlink has a plan. Starlink has a plan for you. It is, unless they've changed it recently, it's a 50 gigabyte plan for $50. Or is it 100 gig for?
it's 100 gig now.
It's 100 gig for $50, which would be, and you get you just get a Starlink Mini or a Starlink Standard, connect to their $50 a month plan, and you can cut it on and off when you need it.
So who installs it? Yeah.
The mini comes, you just set it out and you run the cable to the Starlink router. And what I did when I had my flagpole mount of the Starlink standard, I have power in you will have plug-in power in a bay.
Okay.
So I put my Starlink router in a bay, plugged it in, and the cable ran up and into that bay. And having a Tiffin, it won't cut the cable because they round the bottoms of. Yes, sir.
The satellite be outside?
No, my satellite. Go back to the roof. Look. Okay. So that is my Starlink right there. It is mounted on the roof. It's the high performance dish. As I was telling these folks a little earlier, the dish costs $2,500. It costs probably another $1,000 to $1,500 to install it. All right. So
Does the Starlink now charge you $5 a month to put it on hold or something like that?
$5. Yep. It's a $5 a month deal. Okay. Yes, sir.
Saying about it costs that much to install and what?
And the unlimited plan is $165 a month. The 100 gigabyte plan is $50 a month. And you can also get it portable and then just stick it where it views the Starlink app will tell you where to point it, how to point it.
I mean, if you have Starlink Home, can you roam with that too?
No, you've got to have a separate plan to roam, unfortunately.
But you can change your plan on the fly. Starlink. So if you go to Rome, you can always go back to home when you're back in your home location.
And home is less expensive, right?
Home is less expensive. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Do these all work in Canada or Mexico? You could go out of the country.
Starlink does, yes. The cellular may be a little iffy, but Starlink works in Canada and Mexico. So any more? Yes, sir.
Besides Starlink?
Cellular internet. It's a little more expensive, but the FRVA has Tech Connect Plus, which is a cellular internet plan. Any more questions? I'm really liking this. Yes, ma'am.
How much tree coverage affects Starlink? I mean, can you get by with just, does it have to totally block it out? I mean, does the signal go straight?
You've got, imagine, so what it needs is a good enough view of the sky. In the case where I was in Texas, the tree cover covered both ends of my coach, but I got lucky right where my Starlink high performance was, and there was a little tiny gap. That's why I got 50 megabits per second. So any more questions?
Is there a real difference between a hotspot that you buy like a third line from somebody on cellular or just using a phone like this that's got a hotspot? It turns into a hotspot.
The cellular hotspot, which is a data hotspot, will give you better performance than your cell phone. But if you're not traveling a lot, you can use your phone hotspot, but know that it will deplete your battery pretty quickly on your phone unless you plug it in. Yes, sir.
You just mentioned Techno RV Cellular.
Yes.
Is that from internet service that you use through the Betwave?
Right. So So I'll explain that. Techno RV sells a product called Internet on the Go. You buy the PepWave router from them. They handle all of the configuration and all of the updates. I pay for a Prime Care plan, which takes care of all of the PepWave updates, and Techno RV takes care of that. I'm on their 300 gig plan, which is 600 gigs. It costs me $165 a month.
For each of those?
Total.
Okay.
Total for 600 gigs is $165. Yes, sir.
T-Mobile hotspot, one of the T-Mobile towers.
That's the home, and I just was looking at those recently. They have a roam plan that if you can get the T-Mobile home, you can pay for roaming, and I think their unlimited plan's about the same price as everything else, $165 a month. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's my understanding that the Mini has the router built into
Yeah.
it, but if you have the bigger dish, you have to have a separate router.
Right. Right. So, any more questions? Okay. So, I'm going to do a little shameless plug, if you don't mind. I have written 3 RV books. Book 1 is Getting Started in the RV Life. And by the way, if you leave, I'm giving away 3 copies. Okay, fine. All right. So, how to enjoy the RV life without losing your cool. How many of y'all have had problems where you've lost your cool with your RV every day, right? So in this book, I cover full timing, part timing, travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, and my internet in this book. I also wrote book 2, Keeping Your Rig Road Ready, and went through all of the RV systems. Book 3, how many of you have stories of all your foul ups, bleeps? And these are all my stories from 6 years on the road. All right. If whoever gets this question right, I'm last question, then raise your hand. What was my speed on okay, 75. All right. Well, I had 6 people say that. Come by my area. Okay. I'm going to get your name, your name, your name, and your name, and your name, and your name. And I'm going to give you free copy, a free set of Rolling Smooth. And if Carol, I'm going to give you this set, I'm going to sign it.
Okay.
Thank you all